And welcome back to Crossroads Live. My name is Jim Hoffmeyer, and I'm sitting here with Scott Mendez. How you doing, my friend?
Doing good. Thank you for having me.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about before. You did some rodeo riding, didn't you, back in the day?
Yes, sir. Pretty much most of my life. I retired in 2005 from competitive bull riding. I started at the age of 6 at a Brandon Fire in California. So everything in between, minus a couple injuries, was full-time competition.
Well, we had a fellow on the show one time, Dan Roberts. Dan Roberts, you know Dan?
Yeah, I think the singer.
The singer.
Yes, sir.
He told me, he said when he was going to college, he said he started out like this. He said, well, I rode a lot. Let me correct that. I got on a lot of bulls, in the rodeo. So I think his stuff was college rodeo. So, but anyway, so you did rodeo. How far did you get in the rodeo business?
Well, I was pretty successful in high school. Once I figured out that bull riding is what I wanted to do. I wasn't able to play football in high school because I worked with my dad on the ranch in Reno. I was born in California, but we eventually moved to Reno, Nevada, my junior high and high school years where I competed. I was successful, state champion. I went to college for a day and kind of worked out with the rodeo coach and got a feel for what that would be like. But I felt in my heart that I really wanted to get to the national finals in Las Vegas. So I didn't go to college and went right into competing and showed up at the finals at a young age and just kind of kept striving to be successful there. And I was really blessed in '97 to actually win a world title, and it's been a blessing.
Wow. Congratulations, man. Coming from me, it's a little late, but congratulations. Anybody can achieve that, because we had Roy Cooper on the show. I know you know Roy Cooper.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Super Looper. Great guy.
Yeah, right. 8-time world champion roper. So, and I got to tell you, I'm not a real rodeo cowboy. I just played one in the movies, so.
Man, that's okay though. I mean, it's amazing how the whole, the Western industry ties together, the camaraderie between traveling and competing and the clothes that we wear and the movies that we watch. It's a small and a close-knit family. The guys that are singing, like Dan Roberts and others, we're one big happy family. And I think what kind of connects us all is the core value of the lifestyles that we lead in the Western world.
Now, you are in a ministry?
Correct, yeah. In 2003, we founded and incorporated under Western Harvest Ministries. And I've been doing training camps. I conduct bull riding schools. We even formed a Christian bull riding league where we have a concert, a speaker, and a bull riding format to evangelize and to reach out to the city while also working with the young guys and helping them with character issues and self-esteem and just making right choices in life. So it's a unique ministry, but it's been a blessing to see how that's all coming together.
Well, it has an effect on the young people,
Well, and one of the reasons I'm probably sitting here on this show with you today is last year my wife and I and some good friends that you're going to meet in a moment, we really decided that in order to reach these young people, not only in the profession of rodeo and the Western lifestyle, that media is really where it's at. So a year ago we formed Western Harvest Media, and we've already co-produced some films. We're working on some big-time scripts now and some movies coming out this year that are really going to help us to reach a larger number of people. Obviously, if we get to a theatrical release, that's going to be a blessing, but we're not just waiting for that. We're making things happen.
Make it happen now.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. And are you able to get the backing? Because I know I co-produced 2 films, and I know, and we did it. We nickel and dimed it together, and which is probably the hardest way. But you have creative control by doing that.
Exactly. And, I really think that God used developing me in the rodeo world. Yes, I was able to win a world championship, but everything that I learned from point A to point B to this point in my life has been useful skills that I believe he's going to use in a lot of ways down the road. And so really have some producer type personality in me, and I've been able to network with people, friends, corporate sponsors and partners and people like that, and we're still looking for people to help us, because right now in our culture, in our society, the window is wide open for movies that have a message and a light, and the American cowboy stand in for what he stands for. So we've not only talked about producing, we've gone one step farther and ended up on a destination with a cowboy network. I'm not able to talk too much about it now, but when we film these movies and we work with others, they're going to go to a place that will honor those who have gone before us and those that are coming down the road now.
Well, I had talked to Mary Faye Jackson. You know Mary Faye?
Just got done off talking to her on the phone today. Exactly.
Mary Faye was telling me about someone with the Cowboy Network. Is that you?
Well, there's a couple out there. And sometimes the final destination in the placing these movies, and different programming, they will make different choices. Some want to go on internet, some want to go to satellite television. We're going to be kind of a combination of both. So yes, we're aware of our other friends and support their works as well.
Right.
But the network we're working on is a pretty massive undertaking.
Wonderful, because we're on a brand new network with pay-per-view.
Wow, that's exciting.
And it was really awesome because we're going to be reaching a lot of people. And it's great that you can be here so we can let people know. You got a website. I need to know.
Yeah, you can actually go to www.Western Harvest Ministries or Western Harvest Media and learn a little bit more about what we're doing.
All right. And so you are writing these scripts with your writing partner, or?
Well, I've got a big guy you're going to meet here in a minute, a good friend of mine that does a lot of the directing and the scripts. We've got a wrangler down in Austin. Really, those guys with 70 years in the industry between the two of them are going to do a lot of the production. My job is opening out the door. I've done some acting. We've got some scripts that I'm actually acting in as well. But it's a combination of a bunch of guys working together with one common goal, and that's to make films that is going to minister to the family and
so
get the
these
message
are
out.
Christian movies. These are Christian. It's just like the I want to say the minister. I cannot believe I can't think of his name. But there is a minister who produced a lot of films, and I'll get his name as soon as this interview is over with, folks. But it's with a lot of. I used to see him when I was a kid.
You're probably thinking of Kenneth Copeland and Willie George.
Well, I know about Kenneth Copeland,
Exactly.
Exactly. Willie George, I don't know,
Right.
but I do know about him. Yeah. I'll tell you what we'll do. Why don't we take a quick break on Crossroads, and we'll be right back.
Over 20 years, I've been interviewing the cowboy stars of film and television. Now I'd like to share what I've learned with you, not just the easily researched information, but the true stories behind the films and the stars. My audiobook, Golden Nuggets Along the Old Hollywood Trail, lets you in on little-known facts, trivia, and stories of the Western stars and films from the beginning to today. If you're a fan of the Western genre, I'd love to share my stories with you, and here's how.
All right, and welcome back to Crossroads Live. I wanted to talk a little bit about the movies. I remember when I was a kid, and Billy Graham was a big sponsor. He was behind a lot of Christian-style movies that were made. I'm not sure what we call in that, Christian-type movies or style, and which is, I used to go see those when I was a kid, and I always loved them. I always thought they were good. I remember Roy Rogers was a big part of that. And he helped out with Billy Graham in his crusade, and was of course, people like Roy Rogers and Gene Autry. They were a big influence on my life, as a kid. So.
Well, that goes back to the reason why we believed in our heart with my family and our friends in the media production company is that it helps to shape a culture without a doubt. And the stuff that we're seeing today really doesn't have a lot of character. Value and things that kind of build you up. You don't know who's going to win and the right side and the wrong side of it. But yeah, through movie production, we believe that the media is really a great way to reach both the youth and the family.
Yeah.
And in 1997, when I won the World Championship, Billy Graham's Evangelistic Association sent me a copy of screening for the movie The Ride. It was a great film. A lot of the guys that I competed with, the wardrobes and some of the little things about it were not authentic. And so we really want to stand on producing authentic films that are going to be relative to these young men, that are in their lifestyle today in rodeo.
Well, 'cause I have a friend of mine who is cousin to Lane Frost. He spent an hour on the phone with me one time telling me all the things that weren't true in that movie, And so you got to look at, and he was talking about things like the relationship between Lane and his father, and they talked about that. And my friend Larry told me, he said, not true. He said they had a wonderful relationship. So I don't know. They said Hollywood took liberties with, with their.
Yeah, I'm real good friends with Lane Frost's mom and dad, Clyde and Elsie Frost, and they've been in some interviews with me in the past. We still help. They have a Bible that we distribute through our ministry that has Lane's picture on it. So his legacy continues. He was my role model, but you're exactly right. They wanted to make sure that they portrayed the real Lane Frost, and what happened is there was a producer change and a director change, and they had a little bit different view of where the movie was going. And those are the types of things that I think that we can fix with good people working on the types of films that we're going to be producing.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's great. As long as you have creative control, But if you're writing scripts, I always want to leave you with this one thought. I call it rewriting. Because when I write a movie, I'm rewriting and rewriting and rewriting because of cast change, or you're writing for a certain personality or trying to do that. And so now you have lessons in writing, folks.
Well, I appreciate the wisdom, and I just want to kind of interject this here. It's important that, as we're making these movies, they are family films, but we just really believe with our ministry as well as our media company that we need to lead by example. And so what's happened is when you see a Christian film and it's labeled that way, is you get kind of maybe some corny or cheesy actors and a low budget, and the message is great, but it's just doesn't come across the screen with the right influence. And so what we want to do is make sure that guys that know how to ride horses, the guys that need to take acting classes, take acting classes, and just really make a movie that's going to grip the heart by great content and good exposure and good action in that film.
Very good.
And that'll speak for itself.
Because I know that I've known a lot of folks who want to become actors, right? And, you can teach people to act, but you can't always teach people to live in the moment. And when you're on film playing a character, try to live within that moment. And so now you're getting acting lessons, ladies and gentlemen. But I wanted to tell you a quick story, Donnie Gay story.
Okay.
I used to work security, actually, at the airport. And Donnie come in there all the time, catching a plane, going somewhere. And so he came in, and they were selling tapes with him, and they were playing them in this one store of Donnie Gay, in the rodeo. And so I was on one of those carts, and I drove by, and I said, Donnie, they're showing one of your tapes in there. He looked at me, he said, was I eating dirt? And so I stole that line from him, actually, and I used it in the script where the guy walked in and said, hey, man, I saw you on TV the other night, and I said, was I eating dirt? So I stole that from Donnie Gay. So anyway, listen.
Well, the good thing is Donnie's got a whole bunch of them, so he won't run out of lines.
Anyway, thank you so much for taking the time to be with me, man. I appreciate it. And good luck with your films.
Yes.
And good luck with the children, helping them.
Thank you very much. And thank you for your show and your sponsors and everybody that will be reached by this broadcast.
Oh, I'm sure they will. And the thing about it is, I believe in what you believe in. So,
me too. Thank you very much.
Good luck.
God bless.
Today I'm out here with my pal Danny Boy, and we have a message for you from the American Lung Association. If you don't smoke, don't start. And if you do smoke, find a way to stop. Now, we know that it's not easy, so check with your doctor. He'll be the first one who'll be glad to help show you the way. Now, for a better quality of life and a longer life. Stop smoking today. So, for me and Danny, to all of you, good luck, God bless, and here's hoping we see you at the Crossroads.
And welcome back to Crossroads Live. I'm sitting here with a gentleman who is a legend in Texas. Mo, how you been, man?
I've been good, Jim.
All
I'm
right.
glad to be here.
All right. I know Mo. Everybody I talk to calls you by a different last name, so it's Hedrick, right?
It's Hedrick.
Hedrick. I got it right. All right. We're talking about you. Tell me about when you first got started in the picture business.
Well, actually, I started in '84. I was doing wrangling work in '84. But I noticed that the stunt guys would come out and work for a couple hours and they were gone. But I was there from daylight till dark. And I got tired of picking up horse poop, so I decided I was going to be a stunt man.
I want you to know I still do that. I have a horse ranch up here, too.
Well, I do too. But I decided I wanted to be a stunt man, and I had an in because at the time, most of the stunt guys were like motorcycle jumpers and car rollers and that kind of thing. So I had the in with the horses and driving teams and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So that's how I got in.
That's how you got in. But you've gone on beyond that. You've done some acting, right?
I do some acting, and now I'm doing some directing and writing and producing. And
well, because you know
so
what I
great.
said, if you heard me a while ago, I call writing rewriting.
That's the way it is.
Yes,
Yeah.
because I'll write a script. I just did a film called Truth or Fiction. Give you a little bit of background on me. I did a film called Truth or Fiction, and I wrote this one character about 4 different times because the character kept changing. We went one time, it was with a man, and then that man couldn't do it, so we found this woman. So we were going to have 2 women detectives. Then that woman couldn't do it because she was under contract to somebody. So it just came one thing, and so the character got rewritten. And finally we wound it up in the hands of a very fine actor who did a very fine job.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So tell me about some of the films that you worked in.
Well, my first film was All American Cowboy, and that was filmed in McKinney, Texas. That's where I met Jim Drury and.
All American Cowboy, is that like the documentary?
Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah,
the one.
I have it at home.
Oh, okay. Well, I
Okay.
furnished those horses for that.
Yeah.
And I got to meet some of the old Western stars that I saw on the TV and in old movies and stuff. Clint Walker, like I say, Jim Drury, Buck Taylor, Chuck Connors, Johnny Crawford. An array of really the older stars that you just looked up to when you were growing up.
Right. Yeah.
And but I started in the movie business when I was in my late 30s, so I knew that I couldn't continue to do the stunt work that I did in my 30s.
It does catch up with you.
It catches up with you. I guess like playing football. You can only do it for so long, then you got to do something else. So I just started watching the guys behind the cameras, and I said, well, I need to move into that category. So that's when I started doing some directing and writing and that kind of thing.
Right. Very good. So what are you working on now? You got a script now you're working on?
We've got some scripts right now. I've got 2, and but with our company, we've got about probably 10. Some of them are Western, some of them are not, some of them are rodeo movies. But they're all family-based, faith kind of movies.
Right.
And we sort of got tired of what Hollywood is producing. A lot of killing and explosions and
everything done on computers.
right. And I couldn't take my kids to go see the movies.
Right.
So we wanted something where the whole family could go and enjoy it, and maybe pick up a lesson or 2 inside of it there.
Yeah. Well, no, in films and acting, coming from an actor's point of view and a writer's point of view, I look at it like you can do so much with a look, or you can do so much with just a simple word. You don't have to show all this gory stuff. You can really put it out there where it's, really good, and people understand it, they get it, they know what you're talking about.
That's right. I remember back watching the old B-Westerns, and when the cowboy would kiss a girl, he'd always kiss her behind his hat
Yeah.
or behind the horse's head or something like that. And I thought, we know what he's doing. We just don't have to be seeing it.
Well,
you know.
Yeah. Well,
Now,
wasn't
I like
kissing
to
the
kiss
horse,
girl
though,
now.
was it?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, well, that's the whole thing about, yeah, no. Only ever got to see Gene kiss one girl in one movie that I know of, you know. So, and I think they stopped it after that, you know. And so he's, you know, I don't think Gene liked that, but but anyway,
I love some of those morals
Yeah.
that.
So growing up, so who were some of your heroes growing up? I mean,
Oh, definitely Roy Rogers, Clayton Moore, the Lone Ranger.
oh yeah, Clayton.
I got a chance to meet him in 1986, and I was just tickled to death about that.
Oh yeah.
Super nice guy. Gosh, there were so many, but
Yeah.
but mainly those two were the ones I watched every week on TV.
I grew up with the Gene Autry and Roy Rogers and Clayton Moore, and you know, and those characters that they portrayed
You
on
bet.
the screen, and wow, great lessons. And so, anyway, I'll tell you what, we need to take a real quick break, and we'll come right back on Crossroads Live.
I'm Colin Ray. Within the next 30 seconds, at least 3 children will be physically or sexually abused. We must stop this national tragedy that robs our children of their innocence, their dignity, and often their lives. If you or someone you know are being abused, call Child Help USA National Child Abuse Hotline at 1-800-4A-CHILD. Call is free and confidential 24 hours a day. 1-800-4A-CHILD. You can stop child abuse.
And welcome back to Crossroads Live. I'm here with my buddy here, Mr. Mo. You know, and Mo, I want to talk to you about a movie that I wanted to go see that I didn't get to go see, and I know you're going to get me a copy of it.
You bet.
All
you
right.
bet.
Waterhole, right?
Waterhole, Texas.
Waterhole, is that the name of
That's
it?
the name of it.
Waterhole. Now, you wrote this?
I wrote it and directed it,
All right.
and I had a little bit part in it, but I'm not the star of it by any means.
Yeah.
But, I enjoyed doing shorts because you can say a whole lot in a short amount of time.
Right.
And so I like shorts that run around 20 to 30 minutes long. And I decided to do a little Western, and but I wanted a clean Western.
Right.
Well, everybody told me, says, if you want to be commercial, you can't do that. You got to have all them
Been
bad
there,
things
done
in it.
that.
And I said, well, stand back because we're going to do it. And so we went and we got a bunch of people together and we made Waterhole, Texas.
Wow.
And
Well, it's the same thing I ran into. I did a little movie called Hero in the Rain. And it was what I call a clean film, you know. And we could have gone the other direction, but we didn't want to because I, probably like you, I have grandkids. You have grandchildren. You have family. You want to have something that your family can go see. And that's what I wanted to be able to do. And so we had also, it turned out to be a good little movie. And, you know, and so it was fun. It was fun to do, you know.
well, we had a great time doing this. And we shot it in a couple of weekends. And we had a lot of reenactors come out and show
Right.
up. And, of course, what's great about that is they have their own clothes and horses and all that.
Saves on the
guns.
budget.
You bet. You bet.
Yeah,
And then we had a premiere showing here in Fort Worth.
right.
And we really got rave reviews on it. It went really
Wonderful.
well. There was 3 of us that each had a short that we put in this film festival, and we did real well.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations on
Thank you.
that.
Thank you.
And looking forward to seeing the next project you work on.
Thank you. Won't be long.
It won't be long, right? Okay. Well, listen, you keep writing, my friend.
Thank you, Jim. I
and
appreciate it.
keep producing great films for our kids to
Thank
see.
you. I
We
appreciate
need
it.
more of that, my
Thank you.
friend.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back on Crossroads with some more great entertainers.
Music speaks a universal language.
And forms the soundtrack of our lives.
Brings joy, hope, and healing.
However, the future of music is in jeopardy.
Illegal downloading and file sharing have already cost
over 70,000 industry-related jobs.
And the U.S. economy loses $30 million a day.
Let's work together and keep the music playing.
Please download and share music responsibly.
To learn more, visit SaveTheMusicAmerica.org.
And welcome back to Crossroads Live. My name is Jim Hoffpower, and I'm sitting here with a brand new friend I just met today, Mr. Bob. Bob, what's your last name?
Last name's Terry.
Terry. And you have been emceeing this show out here. Wonderful show. Wonderful
Yes.
entertainers and everything. But you have Is it a sideline or is this your big deal?
We only have to have 5 businesses to make a living, Jim. That's
Well,
that's
I
all
do
we
too.
need.
I have 3 jobs myself, and but anyway, I have owned I don't know how many of these in my lifetime.
Well, we started manufacturing cap guns back in about 2000. We purchased original tooling that made cap guns like when you were a kid. A lot of the tooling's from the 50s. Typical cap gun mold is all solid steel, and of course it's a negative of the product, and weighs about 1,000 pounds.
Wow.
And it has to go on big hydraulics on a machine that pressurizes the molten metal, which is zinc, which is what a lot of the old metal Hot Wheels, that stuff made out of zinc, ceiling fan fixtures, things
So
like that.
that is the way they made like the old Gene Autry, Roy Rogers cap pistols, right?
Originally, this was a Gene Autry toy. You see where it says Bronco right there?
Right.
Originally, you can take the nameplates out of the mold before you run the mold, and originally it said Gene Autry right there.
Really?
Yeah, and you can find vintage ones that are like that, say Gene Autry on them, Wild Bill Hickok, Bonanza. They used it for all kinds of endorsements, but they used it first as a Gene Autry toy. And see where it says 44?
Yeah.
Back in the saddle again, toting my old 44.
Toting my old 44, right.
That's why it says
Absolutely,
44.
right, yeah. Wow.
And that's just one of the ones we make. We own about 150 toy molds from the 50s and
Yeah.
60s.
And so where's your, I want to call that a plant?
Well, it takes a lot of people to produce this. And everything that we make here in the United States. We do the assembly, and we own the molds. But my plastics are done in Durant, Oklahoma. My zinc die casting is done in Jacksonville, Texas. And then I have my springs made. Right now we're having our springs made in Selmer, Tennessee.
So it takes a lot of folks from all around to make one little cap gun.
Yes, there's probably close to an hour worth of man time in this one toy.
So tell me, do these still sell like they did when we were kids or when I was a kid?
You know, no, they don't. And the reason isn't because of any kind of political correctness or anything.
Yeah.
We do very well as just an internet business with them. We don't wholesale. We sell directly to the public. But they don't sell like they used to because, well, that's not what's on television. When you were a kid, when I was a kid, movies, television,
everything was Western.
Everything was Western.
Everything was Western.
Enough Westerns.
Well, back in the 60s.
Well, yeah, from the 30s all the way to the early 70s, Westerns dominated things.
Yeah, because I was talking with Bob Fuller, who did Laramie, and he did Wagon Train, and he was telling me that around, what was it, 69, Westerns were gone.
Yeah, they were. They decided to, a lot of the networks decided to cancel anything that had a tree in it. Westerns were expensive to make. I mean, you could make like, even the Dick Van Dyke Show, things like that, it all took place in, in basically a little room.
Yeah.
You didn't have to feed horses. You didn't have to have a whole town. You didn't have to do all these repairs and things. You didn't have to take people out on location. So, if you can make as much money with a show in just a little area, and you don't have near as much expenses, well,
yeah, go for it.
That's what
I never thought about it from that point of view, of the money angle.
So have you ever interviewed Bob Fuller?
Yes.
Okay. Did you know he can play spoons?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And in fact, we talked about that on the show. And he'll tell you, I'm pretty darn good at it.
He is pretty darn good at it.
And he was, we had a lot of fun with him. And he really thought the world of Yul Brynner.
He did. He did. He told me some stories about Yul Brynner.
Yeah.
He also played some practical jokes on Yul Brynner.
Oh, yeah, I know it did. You know about the pictures
with
on the
bunch
wall?
of the,
And he told, he did that. And what it was the truth was that Yul and McQueen did not get along.
Well, yeah, that's and different acting techniques.
Yeah, right, different style. Both great actors. And they did not get along. And it's a shame that happens. Not just to them, but a lot of actors.
It is.
And but he said they did not get along. So when they got to Spain, he went out and they bought all these pictures of McQueen.
Yeah,
put up on
he
the
said
wall.
they were everywhere in the
Everywhere.
store. Yes. So he went out and he put them up. Put them up with them saying all kinds of things, to you, and he said Yul went in there and it's a wonderful story.
Yeah.
He goes in there and it's just still for a while, and then you see the trailer just a rock, and he comes out and picks him out of the crowd. Of 1,000 people out there, picks Bob out and says, "It was you that did it."
He knew. The great thing, too, about one thing Bob Fuller told us about was that when his agent called him in the office, told him, said, Jack Webb wants you for a new series. You heard this story?
Yes, yeah. Well, I know Bob. I've
you
spent
know
some
Bob.
time with
Yeah,
Bob.
okay.
Yes, I know
And
him.
so, anyway, for the audience who didn't see that interview, we'll tell you, Robert Fuller said, I don't want to do emergency. I don't want to do a medical show. Right. And so he goes in there, and he goes in the room where everybody is, and he said, I don't know you, Mr. Webb, but I got to tell you, I don't want to do you. Sit down and shut up.
And he said it made him very wealthy.
Right.
The show did very well.
Very well.
You know, back to Bob Fuller even, like this cat pistol right here, and that's how much the Westerns affected our culture, was our toys, the way people grew up. This cat pistol, even at one time, actually would say wagon train on it, and you could get it in a whole set that would turn it into a rifle. It'd have a stock that went on it and all that. And of course, Bob was on Laramie also.
Right.
Okay. Well,
Jess Harper, one of my favorite characters.
Yes. Yeah. And you know about him and Smitty, John Smith. How they ended up changing who the characters were going to be. You know about that?
No, I did not know. He didn't talk about that.
Well, Laramie, some of the rarest toys are the Laramie toys, and they're very expensive collectors.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll pay more for a Laramie toy gun than you would for a lot of real single-action guns.
I'll tell you what, can you hold your thoughts for a quick pause, and we'll be right back on Crossroads Live.
This really just, shows you what's at the bottom of Western swing and where all the good music comes from. Well, I grew up with my wheels and daydreams, and my toes were tapping to Western swing, and I wished upon a star from a tree in my backyard, chasing rainbows to the place where bluebirds sing. And I learned to play guitar like a cowboy, and I yodel while I never bat an eye. Thank heavens for the girls who are hats above our curls. We will sing a song to make those cowboys cry. Thank heavens for the lemons. She's everything I ever want to be. Well, I've got me a pony and a cow love, and they kind of like to listen to me sing. And I remember Daddy saying, there's a thing that's quite so bad that can't get better if you began grin. Well, I never got those limos or those diamonds, but I got my hat, my boots, and my guitar. And I'm proud enough to say that I'll always be this way, like the girl who stole Roger's heart. Thank heavens for the lemons. She's everything that I ever want to be. The lemons made a cowgirl out of me. Take a chance. But I got my hat, my boots, and my guitar, and I'm proud enough to say that I'll always be this way, like the girl who went and stole Roy Rogers' heart. Thank heavens for their lemons. She's everything that I ever want to be. Their lemons made a cowgirl. Every cowboy wants a cowgirl. Thank God.
And welcome back to Crossroads Live, and we're in the middle of some Bob Fuller stories.
Yes.
Bob, I hope you like these.
If Bob's watching, if he is, then
we'll send him a copy. We'll send him a copy.
All right, I'll get on with this story. Bob, you said that he didn't want to do emergency. Well, before that, when he was before he did Laramie, they wanted him to do a detective show, and he didn't want to do a detective show. He said, "I want to be a cowboy," and so, just get out of here. You know, what are you, big star? You just, this before he had any kind of big contract or anything. Before he had a series. Okay. Well, so they call him back in like the next day and say, okay, they throw a script at him and said, and it was a half-hour script for the show Laramie. And he takes it out in the hall and he reads it. He comes back and he says, wow, he said, this Jess Harper character is just, this is the best character that I've got to be Jess Harper. I am Jess Harper. And the man said, no. He said, no, Jess Harper's been cast. John Smith is doing Jess Harper. You can't do Jess Harper. And he says, well, no, I'm not interested then. So he said, get out of here. So they kicked him out of the office. He said, I'll never work at that studio again. Well, the next day they call him in to test for Jess Harper. They brought him in, and apparently him and Smitty switched parts, and he said that, you know, at first there was a little tension about it, but later that it was, you know, that they both realized that it was the best thing to do.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was perfectly cast.
It was.
They were both excellent.
I'll say it is a great show. I mean, you can still watch it.
You still watch it. I have a couple of episodes at home, by the way.
Well, Jim, it's been very nice talking to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you. And if my director gets out of line on Crossroads, he will die.
www.toyguntown.com.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Say it one more time.
www.toyguntown.com.
There you go. Buy your gun. There you go. And welcome back to Crossroads Live. My name is Jim Hoffpower, and I'm surrounded by the Army, both sides. I don't know which one's going to attack who, but I'm looking at them. I got the Union on my right, the Confederacy on my left, and I'm stuck in the middle. Right back in the middle, guys. Anyway, great to have you guys back here this year. And so let me start with you because we know each other really well, and then we'll go around the room here. Around the room, the big room. Anyway, we'll go around and we'll talk to everybody and find out who everybody is.
Hey, I'm Ron Painter, 15th Texas Cavalry, the captain.
I want to be a general. All right.
I'm Major David Murray. I'm also the medical officer, the chief surgeon.
I may need you later. All right. Thank you for being here. All right. Yes, sir.
I'm Second Lieutenant James Madewell with the 2nd Missouri Cavalry.
Okay. Now, you are really in the Union Army, right?
Union Army.
But you dressed up like one of them Yankees.
I'm one of the Yankees.
Yeah, you're one of the Yankees today. Why don't you let me meet this gentleman here?
Yes, sir. I'm Private Charles Marks, and I am a new trooper with the 2nd Missouri.
Well, I need to know something, sir,
yes,
Mr. Private. What do you got to do to become a corporal?
Either wait for the person in front of me to get promoted or
get shot.
Get shot, yes, sir.
Yeah, there you go. All right, that's very good. I'll tell you what, you were mentioning that you were in the Air Force.
Yes, sir.
And tell me just quickly a little bit about the Air Force for you.
But I was in the Air Force up until 2 years ago, and got out as a captain. But came in to do this as my hobby.
You left the Air Force as a captain, and you joined this outfit. And now you're a private.
Yes, sir. You got to start from the bottom somewhere, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, I started from the bottom of the rodeo ground and up my way. Anyway, and tell me about your career you as a military, in real military.
Yes, I was in the Air Force. I worked on jet engines, and I had 4 years active duty. I got out and went into full-time reservist. I was in for 35 years, and I came out as a senior master sergeant.
Wonderful, great. Now, thank you both for your service, by the way. That's great. And I want to talk to you, sir.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about, were you in the actual military?
Yeah, I was in the U.S. Army, 3rd Battalion, 3rd Brigade.
That's United States Army.
United States Army. Absolutely.
Yeah. And what was your rank?
I was a PFC, Private First Class.
Well, first class, man. That's not bad.
Wasn't first class at all to be one of those.
And what about you, sir?
No, I've been married for 20 years, so that's all the combat that I needed.
No wonder you're in the medical corps. All right. Okay, let's talk a little bit about what you've been doing this year.
Well, we actually did the Fort Worth Stock Show Parade last weekend. You were there. We saw you, took some pictures of us. That's our first event for the year. We have a reenactment coming up in 2 weeks in Madisonville, Texas, which is off of 45 South. And then we're going to be gearing up for the 150th Gettysburg in June.
All right.
The Blue Gray Alliance is hosting that, and it was going to be a monster of an event.
And I take it you're going to be there too?
I'm doing my best.
All right. Well, you got to keep these guys healthy. All right, let's talk to you a little bit. Are you going to be there?
I'm going to be there. Yes,
All
sir.
right. And so what do you do when you get there? What's your job?
My job, I'm kind of on the front line. I give firing commands, and I actually relay the firing commands from Captain Painter.
Yeah.
He gives the commands. I give the commands. I go up and down the line to make sure the guys are loading what they're supposed to.
Yeah.
Make sure they're firing. I watch the enemy. If we try to get flanked, then I will move our line around, and I pretty much take care of the line and also do what I'm ordered to do from Captain Painter.
Now, Captain, as a private, what is your job?
My job is to just watch the enemy, and fill any gaps that I need to fill, and listen to my lieutenant and the corporals and the sergeants, and make sure I'm where I'm supposed to be.
All right, very good, very good. I'll tell you what. Tell me again, when is this going to take place?
Was the last weekend of June.
Last weekend of June.
150th Gettysburg, yeah.
And
the big hoopla, as they call it. Hoopla. Yeah, you get it right.
all right, last year y'all did some exciting things. Tell me a little briefly, besides being on Crossroads Live.
Oh, that was one of our most exciting times.
Oh, yeah, right.
Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about last year and a couple of events y'all went to.
Well, last year about early March, we was at Shiloh, the 150th anniversary of the Battle of Shiloh. Participated. That was about 10,000 reenactors were there. We did do an event in Jefferson, Texas. We do one in Pleasant Hill, Louisiana. But we also came back and did the Battle of Vicksburg in September. So, and that was the 150th also.
So do y'all have like an outline that you go by, that they go by, or are you just doing it, fighting each other?
Well, we belong to Cleveland's division of reenactors, which is about 6,000 to 10,000 strong. And there's guidelines that you have to follow at reenacting. You have to go through drill, number one. You have to learn the safety of your weapons. You have to learn the safety of the horses and wagons that you're participating with, and the protection of the civilians that are out there too, that are watching this event. So there's a lot to learn still, just like the real Army.
Yeah, but you're always learning. You're always learning.
Never too old to learn.
And so, as a medical guy, how many wounded do you take care of a day?
A day, usually about 30 to 40.
And so once you got them patched up, you send them back out?
Some of them, if they're able to get up.
All right, I like that, if they're able to get up. I'll tell you what, I want to ask you a question now. Do you think, out there when y'all doing these reenactments, does anybody ever actually get hurt?
Every once in a while we have mistakes. We have guys that sometimes get so excited that they keep pouring powder in their rifle, and it doesn't fire.
Yeah.
And they just keep pouring powder in it. So when it does fire, you have like 3 or 4 loads in it, and it'll kick. We've had some of them kick and knock down the ground.
Wow.
You have guys sometimes out walking, and the ground that we fight on a lot of times is not real even.
Yeah.
We've had guys step in holes and twist their ankles and actually get hurt.
Yeah.
And we have a code that we use when somebody is actually hurt. They holler medic, and when they holler medic,
that's where this gentleman comes in.
When they holler medic, the reenactment stops because it's an actual
hurt. I got you.
If they get shot and they're doing a pretend hurt, they holler doctor, I need a doctor or help or whatever. But if they holler medic, that's a real emergency and everything stops.
Okay, but listen, we got to take a small, quick break here, and we'll be right back on Crossroads Live with the Union and the Confederacy, and let's hope they don't fight.
Howdy, folks. My name is Jim Huff Powell, but today I'm out here with Danny Boy, out here at the Crossroads Ranch. My request is this. Have you signed up to be an organ donor? And have you talked this over with your loved ones so that they know your desires? That is a gift that only you and God together can give to those in need. So, till we meet again, good luck, God bless, and we'll see you at the Crossroads. Let's go, Dan.
And welcome back to Crossroads Live. My name is Jim Huffbar, and we are here at the Fort Worth Stock Live Show and Rodeo. And I'm standing here with the Union Army over here and with the Confederacy. This depends on which side you like. But I want you to know, somebody just told me a joke a while ago, and I want to share it with you. Okay, do you know, I'm going to ask him, do you know what the hardest thing on a Yankee is?
Yep, 3rd grade.
At least we made it to 3rd grade.
There you go. See, the war is just started. I just started the war. And so anyway, what I want to know, we want to talk about, you and I have talked on the phone since.
Yeah.
But I told you about a movie that I saw called Gods in General. And I want to talk a little bit about that film because that is about the war. That is about the Civil War.
Absolutely.
And, of course, you told me, I think it was you that told me, the wonderful actor Robert Duvall, who played General Lee, was actually a relation of the real General Lee.
Right. Yeah, he's actually, I think, a great-great-grandson of Robert E. Lee.
So that's where you see the resemblance.
Exactly.
But you know who my favorite character is in the Civil War. Because he wasn't a character, he was a real deal. But my favorite character was General Jackson. And a young man, who can tell me the name of the actor who played him? Anybody know?
Stephen Lang.
Stephen Lang.
What a wonderful performance that was. Wonderful actor, did a great job, really made you feel that character, you know. And I did not know that he had lost his left arm. And he had barely got to know his daughter. And so he really took in with that little girl in the movie, but that was real, right?
Yeah. The little girl actually died. Yeah. She come down with a fever and died, and that really did affect him a lot, you know, because he loved children, and he always wanted children of his own. So yeah, that affected General Jackson a lot. He had a lot of compassion for his troops. He loved them, but he pushed them hard, and they understood him, you know. Yeah. He was a hard man, but he was a fair man, but he loved them. It wasn't nothing he wouldn't have done for those boys that he didn't do himself.
And he didn't ask anybody to do anything he wouldn't do.
Correct. Absolutely. That's why when he got shot and wounded at Chancellorsville, he was so far out front of the lines, he was almost in the Federal lines when he got shot by his own people at nighttime. And he wasn't supposed to have been out there. That was what he sent guys out there, his scouts, to do. But he went and did it himself.
Wow. He was a real soldier. And the one thing that I came about and finding, and I don't know if you guys find this interesting or not, but to me it was very interesting that when General Lee went in to talk to whoever that gentleman was, he talked to him and he said it was requested by President Lincoln to run the Union Army, and he turned it down. Wow, I did not know that.
He actually didn't he?
Yeah, he was talking to Edwin Stanton. He was the Secretary of State, I believe, and he turned down the offer because he refused to invade Virginia, his homeland. So that's why.
Wow. Anyway, I thought that was a real great point of that film. And I thought the film really did a great justice to that Civil War that all these gentlemen fought in.
There's a lot of quotes in that movie and Gettysburg that are actual from the generals and all the participants that they were in that. So there's real quotes that are actually quoted in that.
Well, one thing I'm going to do, I want to do this in closing. Before we close up, I want to ask you, I'm going to go around the room and ask you, a room. I'm in a room. I'm going to ask you in front of Will Rogers. So you don't want to lie in front of Will Rogers now. All right. Oh, no. Anyway, what I wanted to ask you was, my first question to you is, all you guys I know do this in honoring a family member, right? Who was a family member for you?
My great-great-great-grandfather was Ladson L. Taylor, and both of his sons went to war with him as well, out of Alabama.
Out of Alabama. All right. And do you have any, where did he die at? Where?
Well, he died of yellow fever in Alabama. His oldest son, which would be my great-uncle, he actually lasted throughout the whole war and became a prisoner at the Battle of Resaca in Georgia for the Battle of Atlanta. Then my direct grandfather was actually in the cavalry along the Gulf Coast, and he just went basically from Florida all the way to Texas throughout the war.
Very good. And, we owe him a lot. And I know we've done this with you before, but I want to ask you again.
Mine was William P. Avant, and he was in the 15th Texas Cavalry also. He was captured at Arkansas Post. And he went to Camp Douglas for a year. He got out of Camp Douglas on a parole in Vicksburg. He fought all the way through the rest of the war, and he was mortally wounded at the Battle of Franklin, and he came home and died of his wounds at that time.
And you guys honored them very well. All right, let's talk to you about your ancestor.
My ancestor was Private Isaiah Alonzo Rogers. He was with 15th Tennessee Infantry, and he died in 1862 from wounds he received at the Battle of Shiloh.
Okay, all right. And about your family?
My direct ancestor, we just did some research and found recently, was Washington Marks, and he was a member of the 23rd Louisiana Consolidated Infantry, and commissioned as a captain, made it to major, made it through the war, and became a successful businessman in New Orleans.
Wow, wonderful for him. He made it through it. Wow, congratulations. And we thank all of them guys for their service. And what I want to do is now let's talk about these flags we have. Okay, you want to talk about this flag?
This is the 15th Texas Cavalry Company E flag. It was formed in Tarrant County in 1862 on the way to Arkansas Post. This is a replica of the original flag. The 6th Texas Infantry was consolidated with them after they were paroled from Arkansas Post.
All right, very good. Let's talk about this flag.
This is a replica of the original 2nd Missouri Regiment's flag, and the actual original is in the Texas Civil War Museum off of 820, but it was commissioned by Colonel Merrill, who was actually a lawyer before the Civil War, and he funded the unit himself from equipment to basic equipment and supplies.
Well, he was a strong believer in the war.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, wow. Listen, guys, I want to thank you all for being here on Crossroads Live. Thank you for being here. Thank you for telling your story. Thank you, sir.
Oh, one thing, don't believe a thing them Yankees say because they're liars.
Well, they didn't make it through the 3rd grade. All right. Thank you, sir, for your service. Thank you for your service, sir. And thank you for your service, sir. And we want to thank you all for watching Crossroads Live. You are live on Crossroads Live.
Illegal file sharing and downloading may seem innocent,
but the effects are devastating.
To date, more than 70,000 jobs have been lost and
thousands of industry-related businesses
have closed their doors.
This is damaging not just to artists and writers like myself.
It affects the musicians, engineers, producers, and everyday people.
So all work together to make the music you love.
Please download and share music responsibly. To learn more, visit SaveTheMusicAmerica.org.
All right, and welcome back to the Fort Worth Live Stock and Rodeo Show. I'm sitting here with a few guys who were actually riding in the rodeo earlier, right? I'll tell you what we're going to do. We got the Civil War reenactors here, and we're going to go around the table and let you introduce yourselves and give out your rank, okay?
I'm Lieutenant Colonel David Wilson.
All right.
I'm Calvin Allen, Captain of the Sons of Confederate Veterans Camp 586, Weatherford, Texas, Color Guard.
All right.
Past Lieutenant Commander, Camp 586, Weatherford, Texas, SCV Camp.
And the gentleman I know.
Captain Ron Painter, 15th Texas Cavalry, Company E.
All right. Well, it's nice to have you guys here. I'll tell you what, why don't we start with you on the end and tell us about your ancestors, why you do what you do.
My ancestor was Elijah J. Cahey. He fought in the Frontier Battalion. That's the ones that actually stayed here and protected the settlers from the invasion of Indians. We didn't actually go into the Eastern Theater, but we stayed here in Texas to protect the settlers because that was very important back then. A lot of the settlers came in. They needed to be protected from Indian invasion. And during the Civil War, so many of the men went to the Eastern Theater to fight the war that they needed men to stay here and protect the settlers, and that's what my ancestor did. He was actually employed by the Confederate States as a frontier guard.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, well, my ancestor was Eastern. He was Joe Robert Richards. He was in the 4th Virginia Cavalry, Company C, Stuart's Cavalry Corps, Army of Northern Virginia. He served under Fitzhugh Lee, who was the division commander.
All right. My ancestor that I represent is John Eli Smyers. He left with Company A, the 9th Texas Infantry. He died and is buried somewhere in or near Columbus, Mississippi.
My ancestor is William Presley Avant. He fought 15th Texas Cavalry, Company A, and they fought all the way from Atlanta to Chickamauga and all the way to Franklin, Tennessee, where he was mortally wounded in Hood's fatal charge.
Okay. What I want to know about is, now, I know when people talk about the South, they talk about the North, the Union. Now, are there guys who do what you do on the other side?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we do federal sometimes, too, what they call galvanizing.
Just change coats and you're ready to go.
Yeah. Oh, you guys switch. Okay.
Sometimes we had to have somebody to fight with.
Oh.
Now that's different from SCV. Sons of Confederate Veterans is a heritage organization. We represent our ancestors. Now, reenacting is something we do to pretty much participate in Civil War battles and reenactments that's going on.
Okay. We do lots of living history for the schools in our area. And the last time we done one of the kids brought up where she had done her family ancestry, where she had Confederate veterans that had served.
Very interesting. Isn't that great?
You know, she's 9 years old, and she's researching her family history.
All right. And what I want to know about is, we were talking about General Lee. Now, who knows about General Lee? Who's the...
We know a lot about General Lee. What do you want to know?
What? Well, tell me about him. Someone was saying something about when he went through the Army Academy.
No, not receiving any demerits. Yeah, in West Point. Well, military academy.
Yeah. Wow, that's very interesting.
The only man that's ever gone to West Point and graduated with no demerits.
Well, General Custer made up for it.
Well, Patton helped him a little bit too, I think.
Oh, yeah, really? Yeah, I'll tell you. Now, was Teddy Roosevelt after the Civil War?
Oh, yeah.
It was that way after, right? Okay.
1880s.
1880.
He was born, I think, in 1860, I think, is when he was born. He was born about the time of the Civil War, but...
well, he became famous during the Spanish-American War.
Yeah, right. 1898.
Yeah, because I know he has a big history. I keep hearing things about him on the History Channel and who he was connected to, and very interesting man. I'll tell you what, do you want to tell everybody about that event you were telling me about that you got coming up here pretty soon?
Well, the end of March and the 1st of April is the 150th anniversary of the Battle of Shiloh. And we're going to be participating in the North-South Alliance, which we are Cleveland's division of reenactors. And it will be in Purdy, Tennessee. And right now they got close to 3,000 reenactors ready to go.
All right. Well, I think it's going to be great, and I hope they film this so we can get to see it. Will it be filmed?
Yeah, it will be filmed. They're going to have probably 60 to 80,000 spectators.
Oh.
It'll be something to see.
Wonderful. I'll tell you what, guys, we got to wrap things up here, but I want to thank y'all for coming out today to take time to be on Crossroads Live with us. And
long live the South.
Hey, here.
Yeah. Hey. What was that? We get a little Dixie out of you guys?
Oh.
I wish I was in the land of cotton. Old times there are not forgotten. Look away, look away, look away, Dixieland. In Dixieland where I was born, early on a frosty morn. Look away, look away, look away, Dixieland.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Till we meet again, good luck, God bless, and we'll see you at the Crossroads. Let's go, Dan.